Aye, and happy early St. Patrick's Day to everyone that be watching us. To you, Gunner Hellfire, and to you, Davy Longwood. It's almost like I've already been drinking and I'm just getting ready to take my first shot. Cheers to you. And of course, it's Jameson's, ladies and gentlemen. Jameson's. There you go. But hold on. Yes, I'm not a big whiskey fan. For the rest of the night, I will be drinking Screwball peanut butter whiskey, so I can at least drink the whiskey, but enjoy it. So cheers to everyone. It's good to see everyone here. Who do we have on with us? We have Captain Morrow. Hey, Captain Morrow, a cheers to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day early. And Mr. Zachary Harker. He was the first one on the list today. We should give him a prize for that. All right, let's see what we got here going. I must bring up the script. I forgot to put the script on my screen so I can figure out what we're talking about today. For the most part, we're going to talk about the wearing of the green. St. Patrick's Day. There it is right there. Will come up. But beforehand, I believe we have a quote of the day by Mr. Davy Longwood. He found something appropriate for the night. So, Mr. Longwood, what is it that you have?
Oh, I kind of threw in a special surprise before the quote.
Okay.
As always, since it's celebrating St. Patty's Day, I like to always throw in a jib jab. You know me, Captain.
I
included the three of us are in it and two other crewmates.
Very good. A great way to kick us off there. Very good. I see others have popped in now. There's Christy and Adam. Pleasure to see you all there. And let's have some fun. Now, where is
quote of the week?
We're a quote of the week.
I mean, that's your question.
So yep, go ahead with the quote of the week, my friend. Go ahead with the
quote of the week. All right.
Let's see.
Here it is.
May the dreams you hold dearest be those which come true, and the kindness you spread keep returning to you. That's a very good quote. I like that. It's better than your for swimming with bow-legged women. Aye. So let's see what we have on the. We got the quote. How about the question of the week? What's your preferred drink to honor St. Patty's Day? We are open to any conversation you want. As I said, I just had me shot of Jameson's. But I am now going to stick with whiskey, but I'm drinking peanut butter whiskey. It makes it easier for me. Oh, that's much better. Oh, much better. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a very, very busy weekend this past weekend. The crew and myself, we were a part of the St. Augustine Celtic Music and Heritage Festival.
Oh, wait a minute, Captain. Yes. We went off course a little bit. I believe you wanted me to do the Crew Adventures poster.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Thanks for keeping me on course there. That's what the navigator's for. Ladies and gentlemen, we did make a little bit of a change because since we did the Celtic Festival, it's been removed from our Crew Adventures poster. You see Spring Festival is coming up March 26th and 27th. We're still in negotiations for that. June 18th will be the Midsummer Night Gala. We're not doing the Pirates of Pontchartrain, but we are at least talking about them and promoting them. And I'm going to see what I can do about getting old Mr. Alvin to come in and do next week's episode with us. That would be a lot of fun to have him there. And then we have the St. Augustine Rum Fest in the summer of 2022. Big plans for that. And of course, our Christmas, our Halloween, and our podcast across the bottom. Set in stone and ready to go. So everything we're doing, come out if you get a chance and be a part of what we're doing. So that takes care of our Crew Adventures. The problem is, Mr. Navigator, sometimes I should probably keep my glasses on so I can read. That's the problem. So let's talk about the Celtic Festival. Let's start with, do you have a video you made of the Celtic?
I do have a video, And we must point out that I did put music to it from the headline band at the Celtic Fest.
That's right, Albinock. So give that a little bit of a run. It'll. Very good, Mr. Bonewood. Very good. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I mentioned everybody's name in the crew, but I think the entire crew was there, so it just goes to say let's make it a big thank you to the entire crew. Good video. It looks like most of us crew were manning the beer booth. The red tent was our crew tent where we sold some swords for the kiddos and had our museum, and just entertained anybody and everybody that would come along. It was a grand event, but there was one thing that was wrong with it. It was cold as blazes. Which doesn't make any sense, because blazes is kind of hot. Cold, I'll tell you that. And when the sun came out, it was nice. But on Sunday morning, it was cold. On Saturday night, poor Mr. Mason, Gunner Hellfire, was
Mm-hmm.
shivering his poor little bones off because it was so cold. Because the way I understand it, his parents warned him and told him it was going to be cold, and he said, "How cold?" And they didn't give him a good answer, so they must not have believed him at that point. So I guess we're not going to have a spare set of long underwear just for Mason, oh, Mr. Hellfire, right here at the old Mayhem abode. So he's always prepared for the cold weather. But it wasn't.
And Mr. Hellfire needs to be prepared for some other things, Captain. Some
Yes, that's
surprises.
true. We'll talk about that in a
Matter of
minute.
fact, I popped up a surprise, and I'm sure you can talk about this.
Go ahead. There it is. Now that's Hellfire in his hoodie, holding the ladder for one of the workers trying to take care of a sign problem at the beer booth. Notice that the worker is wearing a kilt. Notice how strong young Hellfire is, holding that ladder and looking down with the curiosity to wonder if the man is actually wearing the proper kilt wear. There it is, Mr. Hellfire. He did not look. He was strong as an ox in that. Strong like bull he was.
That's right. But the guy before me wasn't so lucky, and that's how we found out that guy was going commando.
Well, that's the way it is when you're wearing your kilt there. But that was a good picture. That'll always be a fun picture for us to poke some fun at Mr. Hellfire. So it was a good time, though. It was a good time. I do not know the results of the tip pool, but the St. Augustine Swashbucklers with the help. You've got that poster again there, Mr. Longwood?
Yes.
There were 56 shifts to run the beer booth for the entire weekend. 56 shifts. We had help from the Seawolf Privateers down in Flagler, some newfound friends and allies of ours in the pirate community. They have a very large pirate crew down there. And of course, our very own lovely ladies of the Ancient City Sirens. They were there. They also performed on the secondary stage, but they were there to cover a couple of the one full shift and then a couple of other smaller spots in some of the other shifts. 56 shifts. And if anybody ever questions us, the money that's raised, all the tip money, goes towards charities. But here's how we do it. There are 56 shifts. All the money is pooled and divided into 56 shares. And whichever crews, however many shares they pull, that's the number of shares they get. Can't do it any more cleaner and fairer than that, because that's just exactly the way pirates did it. So here's to the code. Each and every man, an equal share of the work, an equal share of the gold. There you go. Cheers to all. But it was a good time. It was definitely a good time. The entertainment was wonderful. Do you have a few of those pictures I showed you there, or sent to you, Mr. Longwood? There is Albanock right now on the main stage. They did 4 performances, I believe, and they closed both Saturday night and Sunday night, and they're wonderful. They have been coming to the St. Augustine Celtic Festival since the beginning, which I believe is 2008. I've been with them since the beginning also. Of course, the food was grand, but we have one person that we'll favor here, Captain Scallywag himself. There it is. He was doing food. He actually does a corned beef and cabbage taco. It was pretty good, I have to say. And he put a special sauce on it. We came up with an idea. I'm not a big fan of honey mustard, but he was putting honey mustard on them. I had a mixed sriracha sauce into it. Sriracha and honey mustard gives it a bite, takes the sweet down a little bit, and it was really good. He liked it too. And he tells me that is now, for some of his other dishes, that will be the official Mayhem sauce. Honey mustard and sriracha. So that'll be the Mayhem sauce. So whenever you want anything from Captain Scallywag's roving trailer, that'll be a good thing to do. We poke fun only because we love you, Hellfire. That's from Of course we do. Of course. Now, that brings up a point. Let me throw a point out there to you. Got in trouble or caused some problems because of something I said online at last episode's show. The person I said it to or about had no problems with it, but somebody else did. Here's the only thing I'm going to say. We were brought up, my brother and I, that teasing is a good way to show affection. It's never been mean. It's never been mean-spirited. It's never been harmful. And in my personal life, if I tease you, it's because I really have affection for you. If I joke around with you, I have affection for you. If we don't talk, take that as a hint. And that's all I'm going to say. I am sorry that somebody else was offended, but in the long run, really, the only one that should have been offended was the one I sent it to or said it about, and they were not. And we're going to leave it at that. If I'm having fun with you and we're cutting up and chuckling, then we're having a good time, and you can damn well be sure that I have affection for you. If we're not talking, I'll just go have my drink somewhere else. And that we'll leave it at that for now. Ray's the same way. Thank you, Zachary Harker. Thank you very much. Captain Scallywags did have great food. He had burgers. A couple of you, Mr. Hellfire, did you have one of his burgers?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Mr. Longwood, did you?
I did not. I did not.
No, I am right. I know a couple did, and it was some people said it was some of the best they had. That's the way it should be. Fun times for all. Thank you, Christy.
Quite a few of our crew members who had the burgers actually went for another one later in the day.
Well, that says something for it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain Scallywag and his family has a lovely wife and 2 daughters and a son. And they would like to become part of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. So they got a chance to meet the crew, bribe the crew with food, and get themselves into the hearts of the crew. And the crew will be having a vote on that, as we do often, coming up soon. So that takes care of that and anything in the past. What other entertainment did they have?
Well, now I did have a few pictures that I'll pop up and you can explain. This
Please do. That's Jamie himself from Albanock. He's the lead drummer of Albanock. He's become a good friend of ours. Him and all the rest of them. And just before we left, I went over that Sunday evening and got a hug from all of them and told them I hope they're safe and they come back next week. But if you're interested in their music, their life, their touring, they're all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. They're well worth it. There's their website at the very bottom. It's noticeable that Mr. Longwood made sure everything is in green for this episode. Thank you very much, Mr. Longwood. But there it is. That picture was taken by one of our other crew to send to my wife so that she would get a thrill out of the weekend. So she couldn't come down and be with us because she's had to have surgery last week and she's to all certain points she's bedridden right now. So that's Jamie right there. Great band. I've been friends with them ever since, and it's wonderful to have friends from all over the world, especially in the entertainment world. I had the Scally Burger. Pagan Pirate did. Did you like it, Pagan Pirate? We'll wait and see what he says. Did you have anything else? Oh, there's a picture. When that picture was taken, is it me or is it just blurry? Yeah, it's blurry. A little blurry, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's a little blurry.
I don't remember what that's Davy Longwood, Linda Petrie, and her man back in the back, Barry, and then Don Smith right there. And they're all good members of the crew. Notice that everybody's pretty much wearing heavy clothes this time. Heavy clothes. Pagan Pirate enjoyed it. Hellfire's juggling Twinkie act was amazing. We don't like watching him play with his Twinkie. Let's see. There's Tinker. There's Steve. There's Hellfire. Tinker is a man that does leather. Mr. Kreider is a prior reenactor and worked at the Spanish Quarter back in the day and has joined our crew and is now, if I remember right, Mr. Longwood, you can correct me, we have now put him in our crew as our Sergeant at Arms. Am I correct?
Aye, Captain.
Very good. And there's Mr. Hellfire himself.
And you can see behind him, some of him, Adam.
Oh, is Adam back? Oh, yeah, Adam's back there lazing out, enjoying the sunshine. Got his shoes off, sitting there, being lazy, not doing anything useful. Yep, there it is. There's proof right there. Thank you very much. Ah, Facebook user on. The Lucky Taco is awesome. Very good. Ahoy, the Crimson Tide Pirates and Privateers family sends greeting to our brethren pirates of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. Aye, good to have the Crimson Tide Pirates on and listening to us. We thank you very much for being a part of our evening. It's always an honor to have pirates from all over the world tune into what we're doing. This week just happens to be we're bragging about our Celtic Festival experience for the past weekend. It was a lot of fun, even though it was cold. Oh, and there's the powder monkey wearing his kilt. There it is. What else did I have in there for you, Mr. Longwood?
Let's see. Those are the ones you gave me.
All right. I saw a couple of posts since we have some security is hard work. Yes, Mr. Adam was a security overall watching our tent, and it was hard work. He was lazing about. He was kind of nondescript, if you would get the idea. And so I saw a couple of answers to our question about drinks. So we have plenty of time tonight. I wanted to go back and look at those real quick. One of the advantages to being able to do the show from this particular computer gives me a chance to look at other things. From the studio, it's a little different. I see Guinness. That's a good one. Irish cream and coffee. That's a good one. Good old Jack Daniels. That came from Hellfire, and I know for a certain fact that Hellfire really isn't a drinker, so I'm not sure how he knows what Jack Daniels really is. Same good single malt Irish whiskey, sight from the homeland. I'm sure he meant right from the homeland. Here's another one, Irish cream soda. I see that also. And I'll tell you one that's really good, Captain Morgan Green Apple. I saw that also, Shipwreck, Captain Morrow. That's a good one. I prefer Sailor Jerry's Green Apple, though, over Morgan's Green Apple. It's a little stronger. But here's another one that's a good one. And this should have been my question for the night, but we'll make it the secondary question. How many of you have ever had a pickleback? Pickleback is wonderful. Now, I'm not a huge Jameson's fan at all. I have several bottles in my house, and I will drink Jameson's with any of my friends. Because when you're drinking with your friends, sometimes you accept what's there. So, a shot of Jameson's and a shot of pickle juice. Hey, it's wonderful. It actually is good. And Mr. Al Lane, I see that cinnamon tequila there, and I have a bottle of it, and it is quite interesting. It is very good. The burn of the tequila is overridden by the burn of the cinnamon. It's well worth it. Cinnamon tequila, ladies and gentlemen. I saved the bottle for only the best of friends. I haven't tried it. I'll try the Sailor Jerry's Green Apple. I've only seen the default spiced rum. Yes, the Green Apple Sailor Jerry's has become one of my favorites. I'm just not a Morgan fan for the most part. That's just a personal thing, not a Morgan fan, although I do like their private stock. For some reason, it's a little different. So we have a good variety of drinks that people would have. But here's a third question, since we're on St. Paddy's Day. How many of you make it an extreme, adamant point that you have to have your corned beef and cabbage? That's important. But we're going to find out something. Corned beef was not necessarily Irish. It was American and Canadian. The Irish were more into a bacon meat or pork, believe it or not. So, Killian's beer is also good. Yes, Nightingale in Florida, Killian's beer is a good one. The red ale they had at the Celtic Festival this past weekend was a good substitute for Killian's. I don't know if you tried it, but I had several glasses of it. It was well worth it. So we've shown our entertainment pictures. We've shown our booth pictures. We've talked our video and the other. So I want to say a special thank you to each and every one of the crew that was out there. And a special thank you, a very special thank you to Annette, Boyd, and Donna Bogus. Because Kara could not come down and needed to be watched, and her surgery was at a very inopportune time, but I still had to be down there for the Celtic Festival because I also was a performer on the stage. Those two crew members made it a point to be at the house, one of them all day, or both of them trading off shifts to be with Kara from the time I left in the morning till the time I came home that evening so that I could be home. So I appreciate them. And that is actual proof that it takes a crew to make a successful weekend. They weren't down on the field downtown, which they were lucky they didn't have to put up with the the cold and the rain, but they served a purpose that was very important. And without them, it would have been much more difficult for me to be down there. And as I said, it takes a crew, an entire crew. Every person has their own specific job, their own specific space. And when they all come together and do it, it becomes a crew effort. And that's very important. And one other thing, I didn't hear any whining, griping, or bitching about the entire weekend. It looks like everybody pulled their weight, and those that could do more did more. Those that couldn't was understandable. But everybody braved that cold weather. And that was the part that was very impressive to me, the entire crew. Adam Lemons, corned beef, cabbage, and a viewing of Darby O'Gill's and the Little People. Now, that's an old movie there. I got one even older for you, maybe. I'd have to look at the date. But speaking of Darby O'Gill, how about the Gnome-mobile? I actually went to see it in the theater when I was a kid. What a great movie it was. A Facebook user said, my pleasure. So that must be Donna or
Bingo.
no,
It's Donna.
it's Donna. That's what I thought. Donna, we thank you very much. And it's just, it makes me feel good to be able to tell people that our crew will step up and do whatever is needed. And if they can't be at one thing, they're going to do something else. And that's the best part about the whole thing. So to the entire crew of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. But I should not forget, let's get rid of the green hat for now. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? We need to thank Ancient City Sirens. Gina Marie and all her girls, they were dancing at the Celtic Festival on the secondary stage, but they also pulled several of the shifts of the beer tent to make sure that it was a success for us. That's important, and we want to thank the Ancient City Sirens and all the girls that are part of it. And a couple of the girls I hadn't seen for ages, so it was good to see some of them back again and out and having a good time. And now a special thanks to the Seawolf Privateers of Flagler County. They came out and helped us out on some of the later night shifts. When it was cold, I actually was there with Captain Scabbard himself from the crew of the Seawolf Privateers. Him and I, his lovely wife Katie, and another couple, and God forgive me, I can't remember their names right off the top of my head, but between the four of them and myself and Mr. Longwood and Mr. Henley, we manned the last tent, the last beer shift on Saturday night, which was from 7 to 10 o'clock, and God was it cold. But for some of us, it wasn't as cold as it could have been because we had the help of Professor Jameson's. That made it a little better, at least on the inside. I tried to get that fire, but he did not drink.
Also, Captain, it was nice. The standing orders were it's okay to sample the stuff as long as you're not drunk during your shift. So some of us tried some of the different ones like the cider, the Stella, Magners, the Red Ale,
and the Jamesons.
And the Jameson.
Yes. So it was a good crew. It was a good alliance with the Seawolf Privateers. We appreciate them, and we look forward to doing some others. I did get a thank you from their captain earlier this morning, thanking us for allowing them to be a part of what we're doing. And he says he looks forward to many more adventures between his crew and our crew. They do have an event coming up in a couple of weeks. It is a murder mystery dinner. I do not have the details, but I'm going to make sure that I have the details for next Monday night so that we can advertise for them and give them some free extra publicity and help them out. So ladies and gentlemen, saying thank you means a lot. Makes me feel good to say thank you. And now that we've done that, let's move on. Jameson, aka Irish antifreeze. You're absolutely right. Very good. I've never seen such beautiful dancing. Well, thank you very much. I don't dance often in public, but I'm glad you noticed.
We do have a lot of fun with our crewmate, who's also on the.
We have great crewmates in the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, and it's always happy. Somebody else, happy St. Patrick's Day, Commodore. So I don't know who that Facebook user is, but obviously it's somebody that's popped right on in. Yes,
that is Mr. Mark Miller.
Mark Miller. Hi, Mark Miller. Rusty Cutlass. If not our most favorite, top of the list, number one favorite band of all pirate bands would be Rusty Cutlass, and there's Mark Miller. Cheers to you and happy St. Paddy's Day to you. Aye. No Irish chicken dance to Davy. No Irish chicken dance? She's wanting to know if the chicken's available.
Now we do have good fun, and I know this question raised a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
It's just a pirate bromance. I mean, in case you're wondering.
Well,
Adam is such a good sport. He's just great.
For anybody that wonders, that Mr. Adams has the best sense of humor of all of them, and it's wonderful to be able to tease him and get teased back. He's a great musician, and I'm not saying that just because he's listening. I'd say it more if he was watching, but that's a different story. Miss Keller wants to see the chicken dance. Go ahead. There we go. There. See? If I didn't know better, I'd say this crew was slipping off into second childhood. But knowing most of my crew, this is probably our third or our fourth childhood. So there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, is there any other things that anybody wants to ask about the Celtic Festival? We did not put the website up for the Celtic Festival. Can you do that real quick, Mr. Navigator? I know we put Albanach up there, but let's put that.
We did. I sure
Did-
can.
If we did and I didn't see it, well, 10 lashes or 6 drinks. How's that? There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, keep that, link it, log it, bookmark it. Hang on to it because every year they'll be coming back now. And they have a fine list of entertainers that come out. There was even a Canadian band here, plus all the different local bagpipe groups from around. There was on the secondary stage, there was a fine gentleman doing the history of the Loch Ness Monster. That was interesting. I got to hear and listen to parts of that. I did 4 magic shows on the stage, and it's the kind of magic that I really, truly love to do. I put all my props on the tables on the stage, and I just do whatever I feel like doing at the time, however the mood strikes me, having fun with the crew. The crew at this point is what I consider to be the audience. And it was a lot of fun. And the 7 o'clock show that I had on Saturday night was the last show of the secondary stage. And I thought, nobody's going to be here for the secondary show. Nobody's going to be here for the 7 o'clock show. And guess what? The tent was overflowing with people. I was touched and honored. And those kind of things make it for a better show. I know that some of my entertainer crew that are there, they can vouch for the idea that you don't have to have a big audience. You just have to have a supportive audience. And that energy that you get from them is what makes it good. 47 after sundown with mild winds. Was that Saturday night, Mr. Hellfire?
Yes, it was.
47, ladies and gentlemen. And there we were with our hands in beer and Jameson's. All right. So, Mr. Longwood,
Yes.
do you have a video on this week in history?
Aye, Captain. I do indeed.
Great job, Mr. Longwood. Very good.
That music, once again, was from the featured band.
It's nice to use their music. We might have to send them a thank you. I'm sending you a message, Mr. Davey, for a question.
Okay.
All right, there's your question, Mr. Longwood. I will go back to the screen now. So here's something about St. Patrick's Day. If none of you know, the Irish have observed this day as a religious holiday over 1,000 years now. St. Patrick's Day, which falls during the Christian season of Lent, Irish families would traditionally attend church in the morning and then celebrate in the afternoon. Lenten prohibits against the consumption of meat. Those things were waived, and the people would dance, drink, and feast on the traditional meal of the Irish, which was bacon and cabbage. Bacon and cabbage, ladies and gentlemen, not corned beef. Bacon and cabbage. And bacon is pork. There's some interesting things here that I want to pop up to you. This all began it's the anniversary of the death of St. Patrick himself, his death in the 5th century. He was captured as a young boy by pirates, ladies and gentlemen. How appropriate is that? By pirates, taken away, and then eventually returned after he had done some studying of the religious idea and brought Christianity to the Irish. One of the things that I found interesting, I kind of off the side of my head knew this, but I thought I'd share it with all of you. He used the 3 leaves of the clover to explain the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And that's why the clover has become the clover leaf has become such a staple part of the logo part or the recognized part of St. Paddy's Day. I think that's pretty cool. Here's one for you. I'm going to look it up to make sure, put it on my screen, but here's the question for you. When was the very first St. Patrick's Day parade ever done? Anybody know? Anybody at all? I am putting it up by here. Here it is right here. I'll give you a hint. Records show that St. Patrick's Day parade, the very first one, was held on March 17th, 1601 in a Spanish colony that is now known as St. Augustine, Florida. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the very first St. Patrick's Day parade was in St. Augustine, Florida in 1601. That's 421 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, 421 years ago. St. Patrick's has been synonymous with New York, Boston, but the color green, I did not know this. I want to share it with all of you. The color green was not always associated with St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's color was blue, not green. But the Irish, when they started to come here in the droves, they came here as poor people they were to escape the famines of Ireland. They came here and were treated like less than citizens, but they learned something. They learned that they had the power and became a political force. And green became the green color or the color logo of the Irish political force. And their voting powers really did have power over Boston, New York, and as far away to the west. Because when the expansion to the west went, a lot of the Irish jumped on those wagons and started to the west. That's why there's Irish all over. So that's something for you to know. It wasn't always green. Now we wear green, and if you don't wear green, you get your arse pinned pretty hard. So that was an interesting point that I thought I would share with people. David, do you have anything you want to throw in as I'm looking up some other things here? The very first time they ever tried to turn a river green was in Savannah, Georgia. It didn't work very well. Savannah, Chicago, New York, they have upwards of 10 to 20,000 participants in their parades each year. New York City was the first major city to cancel their event because of COVID, and they canceled it in 2020 and 2021. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's some interesting parts for it. I'm always interested. If you ever set foot in Ireland, you know immediately, Roy, green is the color. It is magnificent there in the spring. A green I've never seen anywhere else quite like that. You're absolutely right. Green is the color of Ireland, and it is the colors of green in Ireland far outdo any other country with the green of nature that they have. It is wonderful. So let's see what else we have. I have a clip that I can go to that we can talk about.
Now St. Patrick wasn't Irish either, Captain.
Well, that's what they say. I saw that too. In the history of St. Patrick, they actually believe that he might have been, his parents might have been possible, that it's not determined totally. I'm getting all my information, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, all my information that I've been reading almost all day today, and what I know from my past history. Everything's coming from the History Channel on the website. They're a bit more accurate than Wikipedia. I've long since stopped using Wikipedia because just anybody can go in and correct things, and with no basis of substantiality at all. So I'm using the History Channel.
And also, there were no snakes in Ireland. That was a
There
myth.
never were snakes in Ireland, but it is hey, I tell everybody that I carry rum around with me just in case I have a snake bite, and I've never had a snake bite. It keeps the snake bites away. So there you go. But St. Patrick's Day in the United States of America has become, in some ways, and I surely don't want to insult anybody, but in some ways, St. Patrick's Day has become just the same thing as Cinco de Mayo. It's an opportunity for Americans, Canadians even, to come across, reach across the table, put down their differences, and have a drink and enjoy. Maybe we need a couple of more of those. There was 2 snakes in Ireland. They worked as lawyers. I like the input that we get from our fans and our friends here on this. Very good. Snakes. And as I tell everybody, on the ladder of jobs, there are pirates and then there are lawyers. Very good, very good. It's nice to have everybody joining in on our conversations. Let's see, St. Patrick. My computer is slow, so I'm not jumping it up as fast as I want. There it goes. So, I owe you for sure. Not sure I would. A jacket that Hellfire got. Good man for saying thank you very much. You're a good man, Mr. Hellfire. And you know what? A couple of the guys at the field over the weekend were talking about you, and they said you weren't worth spitting on. And I told them you were worth spitting on. So that's how I think about you, mate. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have anything you want to throw into the conversation, please, add to the conversation. How many of you will be having your corned beef and cabbage? I will. I will be doing that myself this week. It's the same tradition that we have in this family where we eat our black-eyed peas on Thursday. St. Patrick was not Irish, as David said, and he was born in Britain, not Ireland. Near the end of the 4th century. It is believed he had died on March 17th, around 460 AD. Although his mother was a Christian deacon, it has been suggested that he probably took on the role because of the tax incentives. Once again, taxes get in our way, and there is no evidence that Patrick came from a particularly religious family. At the age of 16, Patrick was taken prisoner by a group of Irish pirates who were attacking his family's estates. They transported him to Ireland, where he spent 6 years in captivity. There is some dispute over where his captivity took place, although many believe he was taken to live in Mount Seamus. I can't pronounce that one. Slamish in County Antrim. It is likely that he was held in County Mayo, Kildare. Already did it Friday. Got a head start. Love Reuben sandwiches. Very good. So St. Patrick's Day becomes beloved by all of us because it's an opportunity for us, like we all should have once in a while, to get together and just have a good time. I talked to so many people at the Celtic Festival this past weekend because in our tent, we had people from all over coming in. People from, there were people here from Scotland and Ireland, and there were people from Canada. There were people here from New Hampshire, another state all on its own. In fact, I got to talk to a friend of mine from New Hampshire who has just finished writing a book. I have a copy of it, and we'll be doing some book reviews in the future on our show. But she's written a great book, and I got to talk to her about it. We're trying to put it in the Pirate Museum. I'll just give you a little hint. She took the idea of the character of Anne Bonny and what would have happened had Anne Bonny lived and maybe not become a pirate after her time in jail, and how would she have handled life. It's a very interesting book, very interesting concept, and believe it or not, I think it's great for teenage girls. I braised my corned beef in Guinness and beef broth. That was dinner tonight. Steak and potatoes for St. Patrick's Day in memory of a dear friend. I might have to buy a bit of Guinness and try that out myself. We'll see what happens. It depends on how my wife Cece wants her corned beef and cabbage. My mother's side of the family is Irish. We make a lot of food at St. Patrick's Day. Food is good. So is drink. And the times that we have around with our friends.
There's no way it's going to be in the 70s.
I hear somebody talking. Who's talking?
70 tomorrow road.
Mr. Longwood. Do we have extra voices coming in all of a sudden?
Not from my end.
Okay, very good. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do know that there's some need for a couple of pirates up in Savannah. I'm just throwing that out there to you. But it's a long way to go. And I know that I myself have a full day on Thursday and a full day on Friday of tours in the Pirate Museum. And I'll be in the Pirate Museum all weekend doing public tours also. Come out and say hello to us. Again, a big thank you to everybody that was a part of our crew this weekend celebrating Celtic and St. Patrick's Day. So now I'm putting back up on my screen. We have talked ourselves out of the history. Did I miss anything, Mr. Longwood? You're the navigator. You're keeping me on the straight and narrow.
No, Captain, we're right on schedule. Next up, we should talk about New on the Horizon.
The what?
New on the Horizon.
On the Horizon, that's right. Go ahead and pop that up. New on the Horizon, ladies and gentlemen, we actually don't have a poster for that. I shouldn't have told Mr. Longwood to do that. We don't have a poster because we're not sure what we're doing over the next couple of weeks because we've changed a few things. We're trying to bring in the Pirates of Pontchartrain's owner, Mr. Alvin Brumfeld, on Monday's episode. We still have an open episode coming up with my good friend, Mr. Holy Mackerel, who's written a wonderful book on the concept of the idea of just before the American Civil War, what would have happened if there was a zombie outbreak. It's kind of a combination zombie and steampunk. It's wonderful. I've talked to several other performers over the weekend who would like to be a part of our show, and we're going to make some efforts to make a schedule for the next 3 or 4 months. It's been so busy and so hectic here in St. Augustine that we have been inundated with no time to be able to sit down and do what we want to do. So we're looking forward to working on something. There's Mr. Harker coming up and saying that his wife and himself are looking forward to seeing the museum in October. And if I remember right, last week we actually made some kind of an informal commitment that he's going to be here on a Monday, and we are going to make sure that he is a guest on our show. So that'll be wonderful to have him there, a guest from out of town. We're working on some of the performers. One of my favorite performers at the Celtic Festival on the secondary stage with me is Zach. He is such a great performer with his music and his Irish and his Scottish jokes and fun that we talked about having him be a part of the show also. And one of the things that we like to do is this, a call out to the other crews. If you are the captain or the representative of a crew anywhere in the entire world, we'd like you to be a part of our crew. We'd like you to be a part of our show. We'd like to bring you on and have a show totally dedicated to your crew and what your purpose of your crew is. We'd like to do that with our guests. We'd like anybody that has an idea for something. If everybody remembers, we had Chad Light on the show, our third or fourth episode, and we talked about Pedro Menendez. Well, Chad is the official MC of the Celtic Festival, and I dearly respect and have such admiration for him. And we got a chance to talk in between his work and my work, and we talked about a book that I've read that he now has read. He downloaded Thomas Jefferson and the Pirates of Tripoli. It's a great piece of American history, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to read it, and we're going to do one episode on the Pirates of Tripoli, because if you know anything about that, it actually really is kind of the start of the United States Marine Corps. So we're going to have an episode entirely on that. We'll be publicizing that for sure. And then if you're a sponsor, we want sponsors to be a part of our show. All we're looking for is just enough money to pay all the fees on a monthly or yearly basis, so that Mr. Longwood and Mr. Henley there, they don't have to go out and get a spare job. That way we can run the show. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are a sponsor of our show, we will brag about you at every show. There are some of our sponsors right now. In fact, I will tell you this. One of the people on there is a sponsor of our show. They agreed to be a sponsor of the show with a handshake. I've not done any proper paperwork between them, and they've not done any proper monetary between us. But they're still on that list because they are good people, and I trust them. And then when I go to them and tell them, hey, let's make it official, they'll write me a check right away. And that money will help us buy the extra equipment we want. Because we're looking at a new possibility for the Captain's Quarters podcast, and we have 2 locations already picked out. We're going to do something called the Captain's, what are we calling it? The Captain's Parlay. That's right. This, ladies and gentlemen, will be something that we advertise in far in advance, and pick a place downtown, a bar with set up cameras that you can come and sit with us for over several hours, that we're going to sit there and buy drinks for you, have you buy drinks for us. That's the important part. And just enjoy conversation on pirate history, of St. Augustine history. And we'll take all the videos, compress it down into something, and make it a pre-recorded show that we put up midweek, something that's different from our Monday night show. So if you want to be on the show, but you don't have to worry about it, just come on down and have a drink, and we'll be doing our first one. We're hoping to do our first one. What did we say, Mr. Longwood? May at least?
In May. Aye.
In May. We'll do the first one in May. Maybe we'll do it around the celebration of the captain's 64th birthday. That sounds like a good plan. What do you think, Mr. Henley?
That sounds like a great plan.
Maybe by then we'll even have you taught how to drink a couple of drinks. We'll see what happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, be a part of the show. You can be a part of the crew, a part of the guests, a part of the sponsors, or you can be one of the others. And look at this. Our subscribers, we've hit 190 YouTube subscribers.
Huzzah!
We have 4 sponsors. That's pretty good. Wait a minute. I think I need to do a cheer with that also. Let's put a little more of this peanut butter whiskey in the skull here. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers to our subscribers. Cheers to our sponsors. We have 4 First Mate sponsors. The sponsorship comes from Patreon, the website, where you can actually go online to Patreon. You can pay a monthly fee. It comes off your credit card, $1 a month or $5 a month. That's not too much to cause any financial harm to your accounts in any way, or your accounting in any way. But we're thinking that in 2023, we will have a new sponsorship package on that. That will be the Captain sponsorship package. And it will actually get you, if you sponsor, it will actually get you a night out with the Captain in good old St. Augustine, the oldest city in the nation. Huzzah to that. Hi, what do you say, Mr. Longwood, Mr. Henley?
Huzzah.
Also, don't forget, you get...
Oh, yes. Mr. Longwood is going to show you the picture. Oh, I bet that sounded really good, didn't it? But I have the real thing in my hand here, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Part of the podcast, part of the crew. There it is. If you can see it. If you become a $5 sponsor on our Patreon, we send you one of these poker chips. Now, I need to say this really quick. I believe that our 4 sponsors that are on there now, I think 3 of them have not gotten their chips. So we need to take care of that. I give you a public apology that the last 4 weeks have been so slammed with tours and preparation for everything going on that it's my fault. I own up to it, and I will make sure that you get your poker chip this week. Captain's word of honor. I know I'm a pirate. You can't believe it. So there you have it. Let's see if there's any last minute messages. Anything else? Anything I missed, Mr. Longwood? Mr. Henley, you guys are keeping.
We're right on.
If they made Twinkie flavored alcohol, Hellfire would always be drunk.
You got a point there.
I can't argue that very well. Let's see. I'm looking at some of them here, and he will pull it out of your ear. That must be something to me. The wife and I. Mr. Harker, as you start to make your plans, please send me a private message and let's talk about when you're going to be here and what other things we can do. Because if you're here over the right period of time, I always love to put a fire in my fire circle and have people sit and just drink with us and enjoy, as Mr. Henley and Mr. Longwood can fully attest to. It is a righteously arousing and wonderful good time. And believe it or not, you don't have to wear garb. You do have to wear clothes, but you don't have to wear garb. And Mr. Morrow, we're going to work on some kind of a time for you because we have sitting here in the background a bottle of rum. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bombarda, given to me by Mr. Captain Morrow himself. And I want to make sure that we only open it when we're doing a show with Captain Morrow or when he's here to drink it with me in person. So it sits right there. And we have another one here, just rum. This one came from some friends of ours that were visiting for the Pirate Fest from Oregon. This distillery, they want to watch what we do, so we're going to do that one. And that's what we do. So I hear the duck. That's a chicken.
That's because, Captain, it's the top of the hour.
It is the top of the hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a very relaxed show tonight, and relaxed for one major reason. Mr. Longwood, Mr. Henley, and myself, we put in from Friday to set up till Sunday to take down. The 3 of us each put in at least 45 to 50 hours of time frame, as did most of the rest of the crew. So it was a hellacious weekend, a successful weekend. We'll tell you about the tip pool from the beer tent next week because I'm pretty sure the numbers are worth bragging about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to say goodnight. Mr. Longwood, my question, is it possible to do that with anybody tonight or should we plan for another night?
Yeah, we have to plan for that. I have to do something a little bit different.
All right, we'll plan for that to do a little different. And I'll put out there before we go, I asked Mr. Longwood, we have the ability, and the 3 of us have an after-hours show. When the show's done and it closes out, we actually sit around and talk about whether or not we were smart enough or good enough to do a good show. We'd like to start inviting some of the people to be a part of our after-hour show, which is about 45 extra minutes of talking and having a good time. We put you on screen, we have a good time. We'll start working that out because I think it would be a great way to thank all of our people that are watching our show. But for now, take it away, Mr. Longwood.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always. We love you all. Thank you very much. Until next week.